I was staring at my laptop screen, trying to focus on the logo design that was due by end of day, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. Hello? Hi, is this Sarah Mitchell? Yes, this is she. Miss Mitchell, this is Tom Bradford from Cascade Title Company. I'm calling about the property sale at 4782 Maple Drive. We've encountered a significant issue with the documentation. My hands went cold. What property sale? I didn't authorize any sale. There was a pause. According to the documents we received, you granted power of attorney to Linda Parker to facilitate the sale of the property. The closing is scheduled for tomorrow morning at 9. That's impossible. I never signed anything. That house isn't for sale. Miss Mitchell, I'm going to need you to come to our office immediately. We have what appears to be a notarized power of attorney document with your signature, dated 3 weeks ago. I was already grabbing my keys. I'll be there in 20 minutes. My grandmother had been gone for 4 months. 4 months since I'd held her hand in the hospice room while she slipped away quietly. The machines beeping their steady rhythm until they didn't. 4 months since I'd read her will and learned she'd left me her house, the same house where I'd spent every summer of my childhood, where she'd taught me to make blackberry pie and let me paint the garden shed whatever color I wanted. The house was worth about $180 kelvins, according to the appraisal. It needed work, but it was paid off, sitting on a half-acre lot in a neighborhood that had gotten nicer over the years. I'd been planning to renovate it slowly, maybe rent it out, maybe live in it myself someday when I was ready to leave my cramped Seattle apartment. My Aunt Linda had other ideas. She'd cornered me at the funeral reception, her perfectly manicured nails digging into my arm as she pulled me aside. Sarah, honey, we need to talk about the house. What about it? Well, it should be split between us, don't you think? Your grandmother always told me she wanted us both to have something. I'd felt the first prickle of warning then. Aunt Linda, Grandma's will was very clear. She left the house to me. That will was written years ago, sweetie. Things change. Your grandmother told me just last year that she wanted to make sure I was taken care of too. She must have forgotten to update it. If she wanted to change it, she would have. She was sharp as a tack until the very end. Linda's smile had frozen. So you're just gonna keep the whole thing? After everything I did for her? I drove her to appointments. I checked on her every week. And I paid her property taxes for the last 3 years because she was too proud to ask for help. I flew out every other month. I spent my vacation days sitting with her through chemo. This is about money for you, isn't it? You've always been selfish, just like your father. I'd walked away then, my mother trailing behind me with apologies. She's just grieving, Sarah. You know how she gets. I did know how she got. Aunt Linda had always been the dramatic one, the one who turned every family gathering into a production about how hard her life was, how unfair things were. She'd gone through 3 husbands and twice as many jobs, always because someone else was to blame. But I'd never imagined this. The title company office was generic and beige, all commercial carpet and inspirational posters about home sweet home. Tom Bradford was a nervous man in his 50s, spreading documents across the conference table like evidence at a crime scene. This is the power of attorney we received from Mrs. Parker. He slid a notarized document toward me. And this is the purchase agreement for the property. I picked up the POA with shaking hands. There was my signature, or something that looked very much like it, dated September 15th. Today was October 9th. I was in Denver at a design conference on September 15th. I have plane tickets, hotel receipts, conference credentials. I can prove I wasn't anywhere near a notary in Washington state that day. Tom's face went pale. Miss Mitchell, if this document is fraudulent, we're talking about attempted real estate fraud. That's a serious felony. Who's buying the house? He checked his paperwork. A couple named Stevens. They've already wired the earnest money. But if there's a question about the POA, we need to halt everything immediately. How much is the sale price? $175,000. According to the listing agreement, Mrs. Parker was to receive a check for $90,000 at closing, minus her half of the fees and commissions. My grandmother's house. My house. Linda had tried to sell it out from under me and pocket half the money. I called the police from the parking lot. The officer who took my report was sympathetic but cautious. Identity theft and fraud are serious charges, ma'am. But family cases are always complicated. Are you absolutely sure you want to pursue this? Someone forged my signature to steal my property. Yes, I'm sure. It's your aunt, though. You understand that if we investigate and find evidence, She could face criminal charges? I thought about my grandmother's house, about the garden she'd tended for 40 years, about the kitchen where we'd made 1,000 batches of cookies. I thought about Linda's face at the funeral, her calculating eyes. I understand. The investigation moved faster than I expected. The detective assigned to my case, a woman named Chen, called me 2 days later. Miss Mitchell, we've examined the POA document. The notary seal is legitimate, but the notary has no record of notarizing any document for you on that date. They were out of town at a wedding in Idaho. Someone stole their seal. Can you prove my aunt did it? We're working on that. I need to ask you something. Has your aunt ever had access to your personal documents? Old signatures she could have practiced copying? My stomach dropped. My mother's house. She visits all the time. Mom keeps some of my old paperwork in her basement, stuff from when I lived there. School records, old bank statements. That could be our probable cause for a search warrant. My mother called me that night, crying. Sarah, the police came to my house with a warrant. They took boxes of documents from the basement. They questioned Linda for 2 hours. What's happening? Mom, Aunt Linda tried to steal Grandma's house. She forged a power of attorney to sell it without my permission. That can't be right. There must be a misunderstanding. Mom, I have the documents. She tried to pocket $90,000 from selling my property. But Linda said you two had an agreement, that you were going to split it. We had no agreement. She demanded money at the funeral, and I said no. So she decided to take it anyway. My mother's voice got small. She's my sister, Sarah. And I'm your daughter. She committed a crime. Can't you just work this out between yourselves? Does it have to involve the police? That was the moment I realized my mother had known. Maybe not the details, maybe not the how, but she'd known Linda was planning something, and she'd chosen to look the other way. Yeah, Mom, it has to involve the police. Detective Chen called me a week later with an update. We found draft copies of the POA in your aunt's home office. She practiced your signature on at least 20 different documents. We also found the stolen notary seal hidden in her closet, and we have her on security footage entering the notary's office building on a day they were closed. The notary reported their seal missing about a month ago. So you have enough to charge her? The prosecutor wants to move forward. Your aunt is being charged with forgery, identity theft, attempted fraud, and theft of notary materials. It's serious, Miss Mitchell. She's looking at potential prison time. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt sick. My phone rang constantly for the next 3 days. My mother, begging me to drop the charges. My uncle, Linda's brother, telling me I was destroying the family. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, suddenly experts on forgiveness and family loyalty. How can you do this to your own family? My mother sobbed into the phone. How could she do this to me? I shot back. She tried to steal my house, Mom. My home. The last thing Grandma left me. She made a mistake. She's desperate for money. Then she should get a job, not commit fraud. You sound so cold. I don't even recognize you. I sound like someone who's tired of being the family ATM. Do you remember when Linda needed $3,000 for her car repair? Or when she needed $5,000 for her deposit on that apartment she got kicked out of for not paying rent? I gave her that money, Mom. I never got it back. She said she'd pay me, but she never did. My mother was quiet for a long moment. She's family. We help family. Help is when someone's genuinely struggling and needs a hand. This was theft. She planned it, she executed it, she would have taken my money and probably acted like she deserved it. If you go through with this, I don't know if I can forgive you. That one hurt, but I'd made my choice. The preliminary hearing was in November. I sat in the courtroom in my best professional outfit, watching Linda being let in by her public defender. She looked smaller, somehow, diminished without her usual dramatic flair. She didn't look at me. The prosecutor laid out the evidence methodically. The forged POA, the stolen notary seal, the practice signatures, the security footage, the attempted sale. Linda's lawyer tried to argue that it was a misunderstanding, that Linda had believed she had permission, but it fell apart under the weight of the physical evidence. The judge set bail at $25,000. Linda couldn't make it. She stayed in jail. My mother called me from the courthouse parking lot. Are you happy now? Your aunt is in jail. You've destroyed her life. I didn't destroy anything. She destroyed it herself when she decided to forge my signature and steal my property. She's family, Sarah. She's a criminal, Mom. If a stranger had done this to me, you'd want them prosecuted. Why is it different because we share DNA? Because family is supposed to forgive. Forgiveness doesn't mean no consequences. She broke the law. She needs to face what she did. My mother hung up on me. We didn't speak for 2 months. The trial was scheduled for January, but Linda's lawyer convinced her to take a plea deal. She pled guilty to felony forgery and attempted fraud. In exchange, the prosecutor dropped the other charges. Sentencing was on a gray February morning. I sat in the back of the courtroom, watching as Linda stood before the judge. She'd prepared a statement. Your Honor, I want to apologize to my niece, Sarah. I was in a difficult financial situation, and I made a terrible choice. I convinced myself that my mother had wanted me to have part of the house, that somehow I was owed it. But the truth is, I was jealous. Sarah had her life together. She had a good job, savings, a future. And I felt like I'd failed at everything. Instead of working to fix my own life, I tried to take from hers. I'm deeply sorry. It sounded sincere. Maybe it even was. But it didn't change what she'd done. The judge sentenced her to 18 months in prison, with credit for time served, and 5 years of probation after release. She was also ordered to pay restitution for my legal fees and the title company's losses from the failed sale, totaling about $12,000. Mrs. Parker, the judge said, identity theft and fraud are not victimless crimes. You attempted to steal a significant asset from your niece, using sophisticated means to do so. The only reason this crime wasn't completed is because she discovered it in time. You violated not just the law, but a family bond. I hope you use your time in custody to reflect on your choices and make better ones in the future. Linda was led away in handcuffs. She looked back once, her eyes finding mine. I couldn't read her expression. My mother cornered me outside the courthouse. I hope you're satisfied. I'm not satisfied, Mom. I'm tired. I'm sad. But I'm not sorry. She's going to prison because of you. She's going to prison because of her. I didn't forge those documents. I didn't steal a notary seal. I didn't try to sell someone else's property. She did all of that. I just refused to let her get away with it. You could have dropped the charges. And taught her what? That she can commit crimes as long as it's against family? That I'll always bail her out? Always let her walk all over me? No, Mom. I'm done being the person everyone takes advantage of because I'm nice or because we're family. You've changed. You've become hard. No, I've become someone who knows my worth. And who understands that love without boundaries isn't love, it's enabling. She walked away without another word. The house sold in March. To a young couple expecting their first baby. They loved the garden and the big kitchen, and the way light came through the windows in the afternoon. I used part of the money to pay off my student loans. The rest went into savings for a down payment on my own place someday. I still think about my grandmother sometimes. About whether she'd be disappointed in me for pressing charges against her daughter. But then I remember something she told me the last time I visited before she got really sick. We were sitting on her back porch, watching the sunset. Sarah, she'd said, you're going to have to learn to be tough. The world will take everything from you if you let it. Even the people who are supposed to love you. That sounds cynical, Grandma. It's not cynical. It's realistic. Love people, help people, but don't let them destroy you. Know when to say no, know when to walk away, and know when to fight back. Maybe she'd seen this coming, in her way. Maybe that's why she left the house to me and not to Linda. Maybe it was a test, to see if I'd fight for what was mine. I passed. My mother and I eventually started speaking again, though our relationship never quite recovered. We're polite at holidays, surface level in our conversations. She never apologized for siding with Linda, and I never apologized for prosecuting her. Some rifts don't fully heal. Linda got out after 14 months for good behavior. I heard through the family grapevine that she moved to Arizona to be near one of her ex-husband's families, that she got a job at a grocery store, that she's been keeping her nose clean. She sent me a letter once, another apology, this one more detailed and raw. I read it, acknowledged it, but I didn't reach out. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. I learned something through all of this, though. Something about self-worth and boundaries and the difference between being kind and being a doormat. My grandmother's house wasn't just an inheritance of bricks and mortar. It was a lesson in standing up for myself, in refusing to be victimized, even by family, especially by family. Because the people who claim to love you should be the last ones to hurt you, not the most frequent. And when they do hurt you, when they betray your trust and try to take what's yours, you have every right to say, enough. You have every right to call the police. You have every right to press charges. You have every right to protect yourself and your future, even if it means your mother stops speaking to you and your family calls you heartless. Because at the end of the day, the only person guaranteed to be in your life forever is you. And you deserve to be someone you can respect when you look in the mirror. I bought my own place last month, a small condo in a neighborhood I love, with a little balcony where I'm trying to grow tomatoes. They're not doing great, but I'm learning. I hung a photo of my grandmother in the living room, one from when she was young and strong, standing in her garden with dirt on her hands and a smile on her face. Sometimes I talk to her, late at night when the city is quiet. I hope I made you proud, Grandma. I hope I did the right thing. The photo doesn't answer, of course, but in my heart, I know what she'd say. You stood up for yourself, honey. You didn't let anyone take what was yours. You fought back. That's all I ever wanted for you. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's everything.